Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. So, today is the grim anniversary of the École Polytechnique massacre in Montreal, also sometimes known as the Montreal Massacre. At the time, in 1989, it was the worst mass shooting in Canadian history, and it led to the deaths of, I believe, 14 women 15 women at the École Polytechnique in Montreal. And it was carried out by a man named Marc Lépine, and he decided that these women needed to die because he had to fight feminism. The man was deranged, women should be at home and they shouldn't be in the workplace, and that's why life was so hard for him, and, basically an incel before the term incels existed, and very dangerous. Now, this resulted in a lot of changes to Canada's gun laws then, and it's still a shocking story that is, still talked about in Montreal and is still remembered solemnly every year in Montreal since. But I wanted to talk about it today because we're yet again at a point in time, not that further in the future from when this happened, where we find ourselves once again having to deal with angry anti-feminists on the internet. And it makes me want to, it made me want to make a video about this because I'm concerned that with all the rhetoric that's going around online, that something like the École Polytechnique massacre can and will happen again. In fact, some would say it actually kind of already happened in America when whoever it was, Elliot, the creepy guy who made the video in his car before going and killing a bunch of women and their boyfriends. Violence against women continues to this day for the crime of being independent women. And beyond that, bothering me on that level, it also bothers me that there are still people out there with these events that happened both here with the Montreal Massacre in 1989, but with Elliot a few years ago. And then we also had the van attack in Toronto not that long ago either, where he was a self-professed incel and was targeting a lot of women as he bombed down Yonge Street in Toronto. So very real violence against women continues to this day. And yet ignorant chuds on the internet continue to insist that it's not a problem and that social justice warriors are overreacting. And I really don't see them overreacting when this is the reality that a lot of women have to deal with. It's a reality they've had to deal with for as long as women have been around, basically. The Montreal Massacre in 1989 was one of the worst that stands out in Canadian history. Then we also had the Toronto van attack not too long ago. Then we also have in America, Elliot and all these pissed off incels feeling entitled to women's bodies. And yet people, especially right-wing talk show hosts, continue to insist, oh, they're overreacting. They're overreacting. They really aren't. And I'm quite frankly tired of this notion that people are overreacting when they want to protect themselves and have safety for themselves. Isn't this something that the right wing has supposedly said that they need guns for, and that's why everyone should have a gun and be able to defend themselves? Because the threats that they imagine, those are totally real, but threats of violence against women, that's somehow overreacting. It's ridiculous and it's hypocritical, and it's a notion that needs to die. And quite frankly, I'm just so tired of people continuing to ignore the actual very real and dangerous situation on the ground for many women, especially trans women, The situation for women in the West is still an extremely precarious and dangerous one, and yet no one talks about it. And there are those who actually talk about it as though it isn't a problem, when there is all kinds of actual hard evidence to the contrary. And the fact that we don't recognize this or talk about this is absolutely what's bothering me today.